That's right. And we're back live on Chicano Tube. We're live on Chicano Street. Do me a favor, beautiful linda raza. Just hit that like button. That's all we ask right here. We want to try to help the algorithm and let YouTube know exactly where the conversations are happening, the good conversations are happening. And you could also hit the share button if you're watching on your mobile phone. All the mobile phones are linked up to the social media. So Snapchat, TikTok, IG, X, Facebook. We're on all of the platforms, and it's under the name Chicano Tube. Very easy to go ahead and follow. So hit that like, hit that subscribe. Before I go ahead and bring in the participants that are locked, that are loaded, that are ready to go for this town hall, just a few announcements, man. The first announcement I want to make is we're already looking for the town hall that's going to happen in March. And so we already got the date. Okay. That one is looking like it's going to happen on the 12th again. So it keeps landing on the 12th. I don't know why, cabrones. Okay. So this is for everyone that's messaged me, because what we're going to do is we're going to have these town halls RSVP'd, etc., and reserved aside. That way, no one is hanging on the limb. Hey, let me get in, Mikey. None of that. You know what I mean? Want to make sure it's fair for everyone. So March 12th is the next town hall that we're going to have. And we're going to run these series of town hall because there's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of things on the news. There's a lot of stuff on the TV and media. And the raza wants to hear from people that are tuned in with their communities. Okay. And that's who we're going to bring on right here. So I wanted to make that announcement as well. Tonight's town hall, I want to go ahead and just let people know some of what rules are going to be applied tonight. We're going to go ahead and bring up topics tonight. Okay. And then we're going to give the floor to a speaker. Okay. If someone wants to rebut or someone wants to speak, respond to that speaker, then we'll transfer over the floor. Okay. So I will be giving, and the moderator will be giving the floor over to the speaker. Okay. And if it gets a little bit ruly, because, some of these topics are real emotional. I get it. You know what I mean? We're talking about the topic. We're not talking about people, etc. You know what I mean? Everything, we're going to start this off with respect, and we're going to end it with respect. Okay, that's just period. Okay, so let's just preface it by saying that everyone has a voice here. Everyone is accounted for. We want as diverse a panel, and I believe we got a good one tonight. Okay, so if I ever need to refrain, point of order, I'll just mute everyone's mic, and I'll get point of order back, and I'll direct it over to another panelist, and keep the conversation going as need be. But any panelist can also feel free to raise their hand, let me know they want to speak against what someone is saying. Okay, that's enough groundwork. We got a lot of people to go ahead and bring in here. But first off, we got Cisa for the podcast. I appreciate you for coming in. Let me make the short introductions for everyone. I appreciate your time. Si se puede podcast. Modesto 209 is in the building.
What's up, my brother? Can you hear me loud and clear?
Absolutely.
Hey, I want to thank everybody that's coming in, and let's have an interesting conversation, man. Let's do this.
Miss
Mike.
Dina, that's right. And Miss Adina, the 707 from the 707 is also in here. I'm making quick intros. I know Si se puede. You were ready to go, cabrón. You're ready to go, Kyle. You already had a monologue and everything. I'm going to make short intros, bring them on, and then let's go ahead and get into the conversation.
Tell me when to go, man.
Absolutely. Wayward son, mi hermano from another mother, from Texas, is also in the house. I appreciate your time, Wayward son.
Appreciate you.
That's right. A lot of people know Wayward son. And so let me go ahead and bring on Oscar, Lucky Vato 213. I appreciate your time also for being on the panel. Nino America, we also got Texas. Texas is also represented. Second voice coming out of Texas. Here's Nino America. Not new to the panel, but maybe the most controversial, cabron. And then, of course, the most requested panelist, the all-star, the West Coast all-star. We have Norby's in the house. Yeah, you won the pennant, cabron. Rub it in, cabron. Rub it in. And of course, a well-respected voice on YouTube. We have the Homie Hangout. We have Josh. Rascal Reacts, 2 channels. I appreciate your voice. I appreciate you coming in. And then the last one, my brother, Chicano State of Mind. I think you're go in. There you go. Go in and go out again, cabron. Peter is here from Chicano State of Mind. We'll bring him in right now. Let me go ahead and fix the layout. Let me see how this is looking. Okay, and then okay, that's looking pretty good. So we're gonna start this off with respect, like I said, gentlemen. We're gonna end, ladies, and we're gonna end it with respect. No matter what views that we have a lot to talk about. So let's just go ahead and get into it. I want to ask Wayward Son, mi hermano. I'll start with you if you can. We'll start the conversation like this, okay? So today, America recognizes the birthday of Abraham Lincoln, right? Who pushed for abolition before he was, well, unalived in 1865, right? My question, Wayward, we'll start the conversation is like this. Um, do you think that the ancestors are entitled to reparations of slaves?
That's a hard one because I mean, here's the thing: where are they going to get that money from? So Mexicano. My people didn't own slaves here. So where's that money? Because that's a collective money. That's money that's that they gathered up from taxes. They gathered it up from not only other white people, but also from African Americans. So you're gonna have African Americans contributing to reparations. You're gonna have Mexicans contributing to reparations. Where are you gonna get that money from? If anything, I mean, I think that what they should do, if they were to do anything about that, was they have a list. You can actually go on there and see the list of slave owners here in the United States. Go down that list, find those people and the companies that benefited from slavery, and take the money from them. If you do anything at all, but not from me, not from Jose, not from Manuel. You know what I mean? And not from from the descendants of the people that were once slaves. I just can't. There's a lot of gray areas there that it would be hard to actually go into that. So.
And what do you think about other races that were treated similarly? Because where does the door stop with that?
Yeah, well, see, that's the thing, because then, okay, if you're going to set that boundary, what about Native Americans? I mean, who's going to pay them? Who's going to come back and pay them? Who's going to do that for them? What kind of reparations are they entitled to? Money, land, and I believe land and sovereignty, but where are you going to take that from? They already have what is it, like over? I think now it's like $4 billion from the Black Hills that they took, that they offered to the Native Americans and said, hey, look, here's this money. We're not going to give you back the land, even though you're entitled to it, even though according to the Fort Laramie Treaty, the Black Hills are yours. And instead of giving it to you back, even the Supreme Court ruled that, yes, they are right. They're 100% right, but we aren't going to return the land. Instead, we're going to offer you money for it. So they put it in the bank. It's up to billions now, but they don't want the money. They want the land. So are they going to shut down, because you have the bike rallies up there in the Black Hills. Are they going to shut that down? Are they going to do away with the town of Custer and in all of those areas up in there? What are they going to do? Are they going to take white people off of that land and push them off? I don't think so. There's just too much to it.
So at the end of the day, it's a no or it's a yes, but you have to figure it out.
Yeah, yeah, but I don't think it can be figured out. I mean, to what point? Like I said, the only way for reparation for African Americans that would be just is to go after the people who actually own slaves. Or those that benefited companies today, because there are companies today that their whole basis, their whole foundation is based off of slavery. It came to that point. It's been handed down for generations, the things that they stole and the things that they accomplished during slavery. So, but to go after the United States and have us or anybody here on the panel have to, pay into something that our family not only did not participate in, but Mexico actually fought against slavery in a lot of different ways. So I just can't see it.
Okay. Does anyone have a pro reparation view?
No, not me.
Anyone else have no one has a pro reparation view? Well, let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving.
It's good that we all agree on that, though.
Homie, hang out. I want to ask you this, Raskizi. The floor is yours.
What's cracking, Mecca?
What do you think of the term "Make America Great Again"?
I think it's a convenient phrase, right?
Can we get layman's terms? What does that word mean? What's the definition of that? Homie hangout?
What's the definition of what? Make America great again?
Oh, you said another word. Can you for some of us that don't have an extended vocabulary, what word was that?
I didn't realize I said that sophisticated of a word or complicated of a word.
In layman's terms, to break it down easily.
Right. I didn't catch the word that I said that.
I think it was convenient.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Maybe I heard a different word. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So it represents a wing of the Republican Party, right? Trump supporters. Really, that's what I associate. I associate it with Trump supporters. There's a history to the phrase that makes some people uncomfortable, right? But it's the slogan. It's Trump's slogan.
Okay, but it can't be it's not a general phrase. It can't be a general phrase. Does it have to be attached to politics, you think?
Yeah, right now, of course, it needs to be attached to politics. Are those words, could I put those words in a sentence? Sure. But right now, today, and for the last handful of years, the phrase is directly tied to Trump and his candidacy and his presidency. So I don't think you can subtract that now. No, I think it's tied to him.
Okay. And when you hear that, you said, does something come to mind? You associate it? Something, is it a negative connotation, positive? What do you think?
It depends on how you feel about Trump's policies, right? And so I think for some people it's a rallying cry. They love it, right? They put it on hats. It's a campaign slogan. For others, I think it terrifies them, and probably a lot of people somewhere in between.
America, what do you think of the term?
I love it. But homeboy said that it terrifies people. You saying a MAGA hat terrifies people, bro? Not what these illegals are protesting and beating street preachers up in California. That don't terrify nobody. When BLM's burning cities, you say this MAGA hat terrifies people, bro? Are you serious?
Because it's my turn to answer.
I'm talking to you.
You can chime in. Of course.
So a hat,
people. What does that mean, bro?
No, a hat should not terrify anybody. He asked about the phrase.
Yeah.
And yes, the phrase does.
So words terrify people.
Words can terrify people, surely. But I think that the Make America Great slogan does terrify some people. I think when multiple things can be true at once, right? So somebody getting assaulted can scare me. And also somebody getting shot over here can scare me at the same time. I don't think it's an either or. And Make America Great, I think, does terrify some people. And if there's violence in the streets, I think that scares people as well.
You tie that term into violence?
To Make America Great? No, I think Make America Great is Trump's slogan. I think there are some people who are Trump supporters who are violent, and there are some people that are Trump supporters that are not violent. The slogan is for the collective of Trump supporters. How individual Trump supporters behave, I think it runs the spectrum, right? You have some peaceful ones, you have some nonviolent ones, you have some violent ones, and everywhere in between.
Norbies, what do you think about that term? What comes to mind?
Well, first I'll tell you right now what that means to me.
You can go ahead.
For me, it really means nothing because I'm from LA. There hasn't been any point in time in America where it's been great for people that look like me. Maybe before the Spanish came, there might have been some good times, but as far as I can tell throughout history, in California, in LA history, there hasn't been a moment in time where America has been great. I mean, depending on your skin tone, it might have been great at a certain point, but as far as I know, growing up in LA, there hasn't been one good moment where I could say it's been the great America.
Norbies, who terrified you, bro? Like you're in America. You said it's not great. So what didn't make it great? Was the white man in your community that made it not great?
Yeah. I mean, it was the Spanish with their missions and using their firepower to pretty much hold us hostage, hold people like me hostage from having to accept their religion, their beliefs, their system, and then making laws that will prohibit people like me to use resources that they create, and then just basically just taking land that doesn't belong to them. I mean, then that's just the beginning parts when the Spanish were here. When you think about when the United States came here, they took California, they claimed everything. I mean, you could become a billionaire during that time just by finding the right mine or finding gold or finding oil. I mean, those families are still the elites of California. They run California. This is why the Democrats are so powerful here, because they have billions and billions of generational wealth always driving that force to have control over this state. I mean, and then of course, if you take back to my generation, you have the crack epidemic, you have gangs, you have drugs, you have laws that were created by this state to put us in jail. I mean, there's so many things. And what let me go with that hiss that Nino just did. One law in particular would be wait. One law in particular.
You didn't say that victim card, bro. That's the
One,
problem.
one law in particular. Okay, you know what? Two laws. I'll throw two laws. Nino, wait,
What
Nino.
would the Aztecs do to you, bro? What would they
Nino,
do to you?
Go ahead,
Aztecs?
Norby.
let me throw two laws to you. One would be the cannabis law. Nino, if you could give me a good reason why they would make cannabis illegal, probably first here in California, and then not only that, but go as far as making lowriders illegal here. You give me a very good reason why the state itself would take those rights away from people. Not only that, but also
Well,
take away our Second Amendment by giving us so much restrictions with gun laws. Why would
Norby,
they do that to us?
Norby, what color is your state? Is it blue or red?
Well, unfortunately, it's blue.
So you should probably be asking your politicians that question. But I'm gonna tell you this: marijuana, right? The Bible says for us to remain sober. So that's why I'm against smoking marijuana or doing illicit substances, should I say? But real quick, Norby. So you're saying that America's never been great for you, right? So
And as far as historically speaking, no.
okay, so why do you live here then?
I was born here.
So why don't you move somewhere else where it's great then?
Why don't I move somewhere else? I mean, it's tough when you grew up here, you survived the violence here, and then just to pick up. It's like me saying, you lived in Texas for so long. Why didn't you move out of there? It sucks. You got hurricanes, you got tornadoes or whatever. It's dry, it's hot. Why do you stay there?
Hey, Norbert, I got another question real quick.
Right,
so
15 seconds.
Okay, my bad. So you say this land was stolen. So we did not defeat. Mexico didn't concede, and then we sold this. We gave them $15 million. It's like you're crying. Someone that has a title, right, sells a car, and then you give the title, you sign it over, and then you keep crying about the car. So how is this land stolen if we paid Mexico $15 million for the land?
I didn't start it with the United States. I started with the Spaniards.
Okay, that's the last one. We're shifting on. Miss Adina, the 707 is here. Hearing what you're saying, Miss Adina, what do you think of the current climate on what's going on when it comes to everything? Politics, protest, religion. What do you think about the environment? And I appreciate you coming on the panel tonight.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I am, the leading activist in Sonoma County, and I am in a lot of different diverse communities. I worked on Kennedy's presidential campaign. I used to be a journalist for the California Globe, which is a conservative outlet for the entire state of California. So as I'm in these different groups, I'm noticing that there's a lot of virtue signaling, and these marginalized communities that the Democratic Party is claiming to serve are not being served whatsoever. And primarily through the nonprofits, our taxpayer dollars are being either laundered or embezzled by people that are not a part of their that community that they're claiming to serve, or they're serving as a token just to push political narratives.
Adina, what do you think of the Doge wanting to audit all these departments and potentially close them down? And I believe they said that would relieve a good portion of the overall deficit. Are you for the audits, against the audits?
I'm for an audit that is genuine and legitimate, but what I find is people who are in the pocket of somebody trying to push a narrative or covering something up often gets put in that position. And so it's a little hard to say. There's a lot of internal corruption that the taxpayers don't see. And so that would be my question, is just the legitimacy of the audit itself.
Well, have you been seeing the protests that have been going on? I want to get your thoughts on the protests, and this is going to open it up. Now I'm going to go ahead and open it up after this for anyone that wants to interject, because it's been trending now for a couple days. The protests have been going on. Matter of fact, Wayward Son, I saw him live at a protest in Dallas. Wayward Son was there. I'm not sure if anyone else was at any of the protests that have been going on. But Miss Adina, the protests that have been going on, what have you seen? What do you feel about the message? Is there any propaganda there? What should people need to know about the overall protest that is going on? I want to get your thoughts on them.
In full transparency, I've been dealing with Pocho for the past week, so I have not been paying attention to that issue.
Okay, but and then the message itself, though, that the immigration and what a lot of media has been given out is as far as the Mexican community being affected. I live in a farm working city. Okay, we had like a UFW headquarters here, etc. We're part of La Corrida. It's like a $15 billion industry, so we're surrounded by ag here. And when the media puts out enough memes, videos that people don't want to show up for work, not largely here, but I've heard in other areas that that's been the case. I kind of want to see what your thoughts are on that. Are you for them protesting, getting out there? Do you think the message is mixed signals or?
So this goes back to the Democratic Party utilizes the Latino community, the undocumented, as a political voting bloc. And so I actually am the defendant in a case right now because we had over 40 Latino children that were molested at our Boys and Girls Club and have not received restitution. So the oldest whistleblower was actually deported once he was ready to testify, and that was done under Democratic leadership. And so every elected official in my entire county is aware of this, and there's been not a peep about getting justice for these victims. So it's virtue signaling. They don't actually care about these individuals. And so I understand both perspectives, but the community needs to be educated on what's actually happening.
That's good. Anyone else? Cholo Trucker, I appreciate you coming on. I want to, Cholo Trucker is right there in the heart of what I call Chicano headquarters. If there had to be a city that had a Chicano headquarters, it would be Los Angeles, okay? And of course, Northeast is over there. And anyone else, but I'm not missing anyone. Cholo Trucker, I want to get your thoughts on the protest. What have you seen? Has it been heartfelt? Has it been chaos? Maybe has the media been twisting it up and giving us the wrong picture of things? What have you seen down there in Los, hermano?
Well, first, man, gracias for having me. As always, I'm here to learn more than anything else. Personally, with my own two eyes in person, I have not seen any protests. The latest protest that I actually seen was Palestine, and that was on Sunday. But the protest that I've seen is basically online, just like everybody else for the most part. I mean, maybe some of you guys have seen it happening walking down the street or in person. But I have not really seen what has been shown. I think it was was it the 110 freeway or the 101 that they blocked or something? I wasn't there. I'm not around that area. Yeah, so I'm not around that area, but I have not actually seen protests happening, at least not to that magnitude. I mean, I've seen a couple of people walking down the street with Mexican flags, but I mean, we're talking about like, 20 people. I haven't really seen like huge protests. Like I said, the last one I saw was actually the whole Palestine thing. Now, my thoughts on the protests and how they're going. I mean, look, if you're gonna protest, I'm not out there. None of my family's out there. My sons aren't out there. If I were gonna protest, I mean, there's some things that I wouldn't be doing. I wouldn't be blocking freeways. I wouldn't be tagging. I wouldn't be doing burnouts or throwing things at people's cars, or I wouldn't be doing any of that stuff, right? But when you have a large group of people, you can't control everybody. So the message gets lost in that. I have never been a part of a protest. What I have been a part of is when the Lakers won the championship, when the Kings won the championship, when the Dodgers won the championship, and when you have a whole group of people like that, okay? For the Dodger one, it just passed. I wasn't a knucklehead like I was before. For the Laker one, quite a few years ago, I was a knucklehead, okay? And there's alcohol going around out there, and people are doing things, and you feel that you could get away with a lot of things, and yeah, man, you do turn it up, and it's like let's act like fools. Not everybody was doing it, but I was one of the people doing it, so I can definitely. I'm not just gonna go ahead and just bash people for going out there and acting like fools, because some people are really out there for a message. Um, and some people are really out there just to, hey, you know what, let me get in there and let me act like a fool, like this is my time to turn it up, right, to act like a fool out there, and that gets drowned it out because that's what sticks out the most.
Absolutely, absolutely. Mi hermano Peter, Chicano State of Mind. I want to get your thoughts on the protest, and how about they say if you don't go to the protest, then you're not backing up La Raza. What are your thoughts on the protest, the message, all these memes that have been coming out, Peter? Your overall just thoughts on it.
I'll tell you this, man. A protest, that's a right. You have a right to protest, right? You can if you against something, if you don't like something, you can speak up and protest. That's a right. It's given to you in the Constitution, right? How you go about it, well, that's different, I personally, I've been involved in protests, back in before Trump, even when Trump, but recently I haven't been in any protests. But I my personal opinion is that if someone wants to protest, then you should, because that's your right. But uh, I think if in order to send a message, a protest has to be organized, has to be well put together. Of course, you're not going to get the message across if you're causing chaos, doing all sorts of stupid shit. Of course, the message is going to get drowned out, especially in the media. They're going to put it out there that, hey, look, this is what these fools are causing. You got to be smart about these things. Protest and organized protest gets a message further across than if people acting crazy, doing shit, right? Like that. So I think I do got to give it to the young people that are standing up, because they're exercising their right, regardless of what anybody says. They're doing their right to stand up and say, I'm speaking up for my parents, my abuelas, whatever. They're speaking up for people that can't speak up, so they have that right, and I give them that support. Hey, but do I give them support them causing chaos? No, I don't like to see that, because then I know that, hey, that shit's gonna get drowned out in the media. Your message isn't gonna get across. You need leadership when you have these protests, and when you have leadership, then you can get the message across, right? So that's my take.
Ándale. No, I appreciate you. Now, Si Se Puede is in the house. I want to ask you this about an Orange County teacher. Let's go ahead and shift things a little bit. There was an Orange County teacher that posted herself burning a Mexican flag. And she stated on her post, and then after I give this over to Si Se Puede, let him respond. And anyone else want to interject, you could interject now. We're going to open it up. The Orange County teacher was burning a Mexican flag, and she stated on her post, if y'all have flags, I'm just reading it, okay, she must be from the South. If y'all have flags, I will burn them for you! Exclamation mark. And she put an American flag. This is America. They are deporting criminals. Si Se Puede. What are your thoughts on that?
First of all, I want to say hello to everybody, and thank you all for taking the time to sit down and chit chat tonight, man. This is monumental. I know a lot of people don't understand. We're bringing people from different neck of the woods, and this is our first time, guys. This is our first time, so I gotta send, what's up, Nino Brown? What's up, Nino America? What's up? What's up, Norbies? What's up, Norbies? What's up, Josh? What's up, Josh?
What's up, bro?
And,
Si Se Puede smooth.
Cholo Trucker, everybody, the lady up there, and Wayward Son. Hey, man, respect to everybody that's here. We all got a voice, and we got to share opinions. I think what we're proving tonight is that we could act accordingly and get a point across. I know right now it's still the topic of the fire hasn't really come out of our hearts yet, but let me tell you something, guys. Like, us coming together, let's agree to disagree. I know that immigration is like the main subject, but immigration doesn't really involve me. I'm in this Trump thing. I'm a Trumper, and that's how I feel, man. And I'm Si Se Puede, and I believe in the UFW, and But I tell you one thing, I'm in this because of the crypto. Okay, there's a lot of different reasons why people get involved inside of the political field. You know, you want to think with your wallet, you want to think with your, you know, right now is a time where we're all beginning to start thinking that we have a shot at this American dream, guys. And if you don't think like an American, and if you don't pledge allegiance to the American flag, then I don't feel comfortable, man. I don't want to say it like disrespectfully, but I love this country, man. I was a missionary at one time, at one point in my life, and I represented the United States flag in the Christian missionary field. And the honor that I got, man, I'm not saying that I stand those grounds right now. Like, I started churches at one point. I'm a published author, but the Trump thing is real, guys. The financial system is changing. What's going on with what Mikey had to say about somebody burning the Mexican flag? Okay, let's get to it. Let's get to it.
Let's go.
Honestly, man, like, they're burning our flag on this country right here. They're burning our flag, man. Very disrespectful. I don't care if you think it's a law and you should have that right. The only time you should be able to burn it, and it should never be a time, is outside of this country. Like, don't be here, bro. Like, don't burn this. This is a beautiful land that we live in, ladies and gentlemen. This is not. We're getting a cultural cold shower of who we really are, because through BLM, through all these other programs that happened, and the Mexicans and the Browns, if you think like that, have never really had a sense of viewing without them having our representation in front of us. But thinking like an American and with rights, you know, there was a time where Cesar Chavez, bro, there was no Spanish being spoke on the farms, homie. There was only Chicanos out there, and he was fighting for rights. And that was the first flag that I identified, and I'm very proud to be an American. I think what they're burning their flag, they have the nowadays, bro. Look, we could disagree, we could get passionate about everything, but they got that right. If it's that right, then if you pledge allegiance to the United States flag, you better be ready for some uncomfortableness. And there's rights out there, man. And swallow that pill. It is what it is. If you stand for the flag, stand for freedom, then things are gonna happen. Do I think that United States flag should be burned? Never, bro. Ever, never.
I want to ask Wayward Son your thoughts on that, on Chicanos, the American flag. Are we being proud of flags, or are we confused? Maybe we don't know what the meaning of the flag is. Wayward Son, I'd like to hear your opinion.
I would like to hear that too.
What I ask everybody, when it comes to that American flag, what does it really represent to you? Because here's the thing, and I always ask people, especially those that support Trump, support MAGA, support the United States of America, I ask them the same question, and none of them can answer me honestly. When did colonization end in the United States? When did it end? Give me a date, a day, a time, a month, and a year. When did it end? They cannot answer you. You know why? Because it has never ended. Now, some people will try to.
God bless the colonizers. Thank them for the King James Bible.
Now, see, here's the thing.
God bless the colonizers.
Here's the thing about that. People that sell their soul, and people that feel as though the United States has, because I also asked you another question, and those that just said, bless the colonizer, I'm going to ask you another question. I will offer you, I will give you $1,000.
I don't want your money.
Here, I'm just listening to what I'm saying. If you can be quiet,
you got $1,000. Pull
I'm going to
$1,000
offer
right now.
you, and anybody else.
Right now, then. Let me see the money. Let me see the money right now.
Hold up. See, there you go.
All right.
I'm going to offer you any one of you.
Don't say you got 1,000 and then you ain't pulling it out, bro. For real. I'm from Texas.
Go ahead. Let him finish.
He's not going to let me finish because he don't want to hear what I have to say.
Go ahead.
I'm offering you and anybody else that supports that type of mentality $1,000 if you can name me one, just one single right that the United States has given you of their own free will that our people, as a people, did not have to fight for. Just one, because so many of you say that the United States gives me this, they gave me that. Answer that question then. You just waved your hand. Name me a right. Because if you name me a right or liberty, I will name you a court case. I will name you legislation or an act of civil disobedience that brought that right to you. Because the United States has never given a person of color a damn thing. Not one. Not one. They have never given us anything. Now, I know a lot of you try to sell your soul.
Whatever. And you're a fraud. You're a fraud, bro. You push that Indio bullshit on TikTok, bro. Whatever.
Now, name me a right. Don't deflect and redirect.
Show me one law that is racist towards any ethnicity in this country. Show me one law in the book.
The prohibition of the law, the prohibition of the Raiders.
I got a question for Homie Hangout. Can I ask Homie Hangout a question?
Hold on, Wayward Son is still responding.
I'm listening.
I asked you, why are you avoiding? Why are you deflecting and redirecting? I asked you one simple question.
Because you got a bullshit question. That's why. And you ain't got
let's answer that
Because
question.
you can't
Go ahead,
answer it. Because you can't answer it. See how they get into their feelings? They get into their emotions.
Show me the money and I'll answer.
I already answered it, Nino, though, just to let you guys know.
It's okay to disagree, but Homie Hangout, what's the difference between hate speech and free speech, bud? I know that you know a lot about the law. Like, we're not saying we're hate speeching or free speeching, but what's the difference on a real law level of what is an attack and what is freedom of speech, bud? I don't know if you could answer that.
Yeah, so free speech means that the government is not supposed to punish you for what you say, right? But the government still has power. And so if people misunderstand free speech sometimes, I think, right? Like, I should be able to say what I want on any social media platform. I should be able to say what I want at my workplace. I should be able to say what I want anywhere. Free speech is a relationship between government, right, and you. The government should not come kick down your door. The government should not arrest you. The government should not persecute you because of what you say. Other people can do whatever the fuck they want, right? And hate speech, which is a kind of tricky, right? Like I have issues with hate crime laws and that kind of stuff because I think they're selectively applied. It's just sort of what's politically convenient. But the idea of hate speech is when your free speech places somebody else in danger, because other folks have the right to be safe, right? So if your speech is instigating violence, if you're trying to get folks riled up, hey man, let's everybody go down here and hurt these guys, right? Don't punish me though, because free speech. The government can step in and say, yeah, but your free speech has now infringed on these other people's rights, which they have the right to be able to stand over there and you not go over there and assault them. And you're getting folks worked up. So this whole country is a balance of individual liberty and then collective laws, right? What I have the right to do, but then how does my exercising my rights, when does it infringe on your rights? Because that's when we have tension. That's when we have a conflict, right? Yeah, but most of the time, in my experience, at least from what I've seen, hate speech is when I don't like what you say, so I'm going to accuse you of hate speech, right? And because I don't like it, because you sound like you're mean. And so
it really depends on the government or the perspective of what's going on in the situation at the time, right? I mean, most likely, right?
People use terms however they want to use them, right? Yeah. And so you could find 100 different examples, and probably 90 of them wouldn't be legitimate under the law, but people speak with emotion, right? That's what a lot of this political dialogue centers around emotion. It's not what you think, it's not what you know, it's how you feel. So if I feel a certain way, I'm going to look for language to communicate that. And I want other people to agree with me. And with all this identity politics and all my camp versus your camp, if I can convince my camp that you're not arguing with me, you're arguing with us, even though you're only talking to me, right? But I don't like how you're talking to me. Rather than me deal with that, if I can say he's arguing with us, I get to rile all these other people up, and now I'm not so alone. And it's easy to do that if I can say it's hate speech.
But people are waking up.
Wayward Son. Let me see if I can answer that question. What was that question that you asked? I want to see if I can answer it. I mean, I consider myself an American. I don't know the Constitution like the back of my hand, but what question did you ask? Because there was a lot of over talking. I didn't hear it super clear.
It's a simple question. Name me one single right that the United States has given our people of their own free will. One single right that we as a people did not have to fight for. That because if you name me a right, I will name you a a court case. I will name you legislation. I will name you an act of civil disobedience that earned us that right, because we have had to fight for every single thing that we have ever gotten. And a lot of these people who think, oh, I'm American, you wasn't even an American until 1848. You was not even, you're a treaty American. You was given citizenship by
Come on,
treaty.
brother.
You was given citizenship by treaty as a result of the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, because before then,
Yeah.
he wasn't even a citizen of the United States. But name me a right, one single right that they have given you of their own free will. Just one.
Can I say something about that too?
Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Dina.
Thank
Yeah,
you. I do agree with you, brother. Actually have written about this issue. A great example that I write about often is forced sterilization of natives and blacks and Latinos was legal up and through 1980. And so until we get vocal that something's not okay, we don't see changes. But I work with the Democrats, I work with the Republicans, I work politically with candidates and people currently in office. So I see different perspectives. And so I understand, you know, everyone's viewpoints on that issue.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't work with either.
Okay,
But
go
see,
ahead.
but America's not a person, right?
Yeah,
America's a
yeah.
collective of people. And I think that's the point
Yeah.
that the gentleman is getting at is when we say America, America is not somebody that's done something for you, right? America is a collection of experiences. Some of those experiences have benefited some people, some of them have benefited other people. And sometimes people want to pick and choose the part that they like and not pay attention to the part that they don't like. But it's all of the above, whether you like it or not, right? And so, no, there is no America to give over rights, right? It's a collection of people. So, yes, things have been fought for. The government has changed over the years because people have sacrificed and fought to change the government because they don't like how they're being governed. That's the nature of building a country. Right. And some folks were involved in that early on, and some folks are barely getting involved. Some folks are not involved. Like it's a process. It's an ongoing process.
Go
The
ahead.
funny part is that America is the name of a continent. This place didn't even come up with its own name.
True.
Well, but it is a country though, and I wanna gonna piggyback a little bit with what Raskizi was saying. I mean, yeah, I hear that a lot. Like, hey, what has this country done for you? And go back in history so much, and yeah, treat it like if it's one person. Like, hey, what has this one person done for you? But no, it's collective people. All of us here on this panel, everybody watching, everybody who's here in the United States, you know, amongst each other, trying to work together, fighting against each other, whatever it may be, all the battles, court cases, whatever it may be, to get to where we're at today. And where we're going to be in the future, even, you know, past our lifetime. I mean, that to me, that's America, the fight, the struggle. I mean, it's not easy to just build a country and just say, okay, this is the way it's going to be from here to forever, for eternity. No, people are going to pass on. People change their beliefs. People change so much. Other people come in, and it's just, you know, it's a revolving door, and things keep on changing. And there's a fight, there's a struggle. And, you know, in all reality, because of that fight and that struggle is the reason why I want to strive today. To pay homage to those that were part of that fight and struggle.
Go ahead, Peter. You got to jump in there, Peter. It's like
If
we're
I may
driving
speak
one
real
way.
quick,
You got to just get in there.
Yeah.
So here real quick about the burning of the American flag. First and foremost, I'm gonna say I myself don't like seeing it, right? I don't think it's a good message to send out there. But I'll be honest, it's not a crime to burn the flag, right? But when I see it, do I take it personal? No. And I'll tell you why. Because I put on a uniform and I flew hundreds of miles wherever the fuck Uncle Sam sent me to protect that right for others to have. If I see a white supremacist carrying a flag that he's showing that he's white power, I can't take that personal because that's his right to protest, to say all this other shit. I'm protecting that right, or I was protecting it, right? So, like I said, I don't like seeing it, but if you don't like what's happening, then we need to go into and change the law or make a law about it if you don't like it, right? That's the way, the power of making changes in this country. Get involved, start making changes in the law, become a law legislator, whatever. But that's the way I see it. Now, like I said, I don't like
that
seeing it
video,
either.
Claire? What about that
I take
video?
it some way. I take it some way because I served and I see it, but I can't take it personal because I signed to say that I'm protecting that right. So that's my take on that. But I still do agree with Wayward Son. We didn't get certain rights right away as minorities. We had a fight for those rights. Cesar Chavez had a fight for them. Gutierrez, Rodolfo Corky Gonzalez, and he wasn't even a Democrat. He hated the Democrats, right? I personally don't like Democrats either, right? But we had a fight for certain rights. And what the sister was saying, that's true. That shit did happen. They sterilized these people. And that shit was sad because there was an experiment. And how do they experiment on our people? Fuck that shit. Yeah. It makes you mad, but like I said, you can't take it personal. It's history.
Nope. Hey,
right?
But I'll go out and say, I actually love the flag burning. I think it's a great thing. I think there's nothing more American than burning a flag. And I'll tell you why. Because that's how this country was founded. This country was founded on rebellion. We burned English flags here in the U.S. When the 13 colonies were here, what do you think they did? They protested. They burned flags. They threw away good tea, to prove a point that this is America. Everybody has the right to protest, and burning that flag is in America. That this is in America.
Lucky Vato 213, I want to ask you your thoughts, and then I'll pass it over to Nino. Lucky Vato 213, what do you think of the American flag getting burned?
I don't like it, bro. I don't like it. I love this country, and go back a little bit to what brother was saying. He's talking about what does America give me? America give me the right to disagree with it. Give me the right to complain. And what it is you fully realize that we live in a fallen world. This world is not perfect. Any country in the world that has laws, these laws will fought through sweat and tears and blood. Every country that has laws, every civil country that's law and order has done it through force, through laws, through legislation, through courts. Even America, in America, any immigrant that came to this country, whether you were Italian or you Irish, they were all attacked. Because you had to come in and kind of make your stake as Latino. We're still the quiet. We're a big minority, but we're the quiet minority, right? We haven't really got together. We haven't really figured out that we have to fight for our rights. Nobody's going to give you anything, no matter how sad you are, how much you complain, how much of a victim you are. We're all men here, so we have to fight. If you want rights, you ask for your rights, demand your rights. This is the reason why Trump won, because people got tired of being walked over. People rose up, the system, and more than half of the country and a lot of Latinos voted for Trump. Why? Because they don't want to be victims anymore. So the victim mentality about the country owes me something, and I'm a victim. Chale, that's all bogus, snowflake stuff. We're not victims. We're men.
Yeah, well, that definitely fired back in a few brown people. Just saying.
We're not brown. We're American. We're American, we're American, man.
We're American. We're American, but we're brown. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. America's got everybody in it, right? You want your rights? Ask for your rights. They're not going to give them to you. Trust me. If you want something, you got to go for it. It's like when you raise your kid, right? Because you want to be good, study, go to school. Be responsible. That's what you do. We're so passive now. We have such weak leadership. that we cry about everything. When I grew up in the 70s, bro. I grew up literally, I experienced racism from my own people. I was too Mexican, bro. I wasn't Chicano enough. Or I wasn't American enough, right? If you're in East LA, I'm from East LA. I was born in Woodland Boulevard, Dr. Hospital. If you grew up in East LA, and if you were too Mexican, they attacked you, bro. You know what I mean? So all this racism stuff that happens all the time through every culture. Everybody does it. And we're not victims.
We're the most racist on ourselves, man. At the end of the day, we're the ones that really chokehold each other.
Amen.
Time, man. You know, at the end of the day, like we're such a powerful voice, and a lot of people think like, oh, you think like an American flag, and dude, it's not a skin color. If you're still thinking that the American flag is a skin color, it's a state of mind that you could accomplish all dreams right here, bro. And people want to invade this land. Hell nah, dog. It needs to get shut down, and it needs to get under control. Law and order needs to come this way.
This is my home.
Bottom
My
line,
kids live
bottom
here.
line.
My grandkids live here.
Bottom
You
line,
ain't coming
bottom
over
line.
here. Nah.
No, I'm just
Nino
saying
America.
that.
I want to give Nino
and-
America
and-
your
Hey,
Nino
Brown
America.
is definitely still an issue in this country.
know,
I know you don't believe it, but
fast
I-
tracking immigration, bro. How we talk about that?
Be
There's no
proud, brother. Be proud of being brown. Be proud. Don't be ashamed. Be proud. Being
I'm
brown.
an American.
Don't be ashamed.
I think
I'm proud to
Norby-
be brown, homie.
I think
but I'm proud to
Norby
be
is
an
the
American,
most
dog.
proudest of all.
this color don't bleed. Hey, I love my
It's
brown
okay.
skin. I'll
It's
tell you
okay.
that much.
It's okay to disagree. It's okay. Like all of us, look, man, you guys are all YouTubers and got massive lanes. And we've been in this YouTube world like commuting next to each other, but we all finally landed on one exit. Chicano too. We all right here, man, and we're trying to
Yes,
get a point
sir.
across. We're trying to get a point across of open dialogue, of disagreeing. I love America. I love the United States flag. I love this country, dog. I love this country. I don't care, man. I don't.
Now, I'm gonna give the floor
Mex-
over to Nino America. Nino America.
Mexico won't
when you
accept me,
saw-
bro. They
when
won't
you
accept me.
saw the Orange County teacher, I want to get your thoughts, Nino
Yeah, I
America.
wanna-
When you saw the Orange County teacher burn a Mexican flag, what did you think?
Very happy, very glad these people burnt my flag, and I guess Norby's. He likes the American flag being burned. I'm glad the Mexico flag got burned. I think it's freaking.
Me too. It's the American way. I said it.
I think it's disgusting to see these traitors. They run around and terrorize citizens in L.A. and do these protests, and then to see them, burn my flag. So them burning the Mexico flag, I say good. I'm glad. I need to see the video. I want to watch it and post it, and I'm very glad that they did that. But I got a quick question, Mikey, for everybody watching here. What do these protests accomplish besides pissing off patriots like myself? I think the good thing that it did do for us is open our eyes to the ungrateful, illegal aliens that are in our country that need to be deported ASAP. But again, my question is, what do these protests accomplish? Nothing besides what I just said.
I could answer that.
I could answer that too.
I
But
could answer that.
I'll let him go for it, man.
Yeah, no, go ahead, Norby. I'll let him know.
First of all, when people that don't like these protests, it's because it's not for you guys. It's never been for you guys.
Exactly.
Anybody that dislikes them, it's
What
never
was it
been
about?
for them.
What was it
Those
about?
those
What was it about?
those protests are a
We
tradition for
We
people
won.
from Southern California. Its roots started here. I mean, aside
I know
from
y'all-
America being built by rebellion, California has also been a place of protest. Our brown people have been protesting since the U.S. took over. I'll give you a name right here, Modesta Ayala. She was the first female to protest in California. She was convicted by Orange. She was the first convicted defendant of Orange County. And what did she do? She put a piece of string on the railroad track with her clothes hanging there with a sign. If you want to build your railroad here, or you want to keep it here, you got to pay me. This is how long we've been protesting in this
What was the
state.
protest
This,
about, though, bro? Like
this
for real,
protest
though.
is what, and this. I'm glad you asked that because
What is the topic?
What was it about?
it gets all drowned out by the worst visions, the worst visuals of the protest. Nobody is posting the part where people are screaming for immigration reform. This is what they're asking for: immigration reform. They have speeches
got
after
it, Marky.
speeches, but you know what? Everybody sees only the worst part, and that's understandable because drama sells, and I don't blame them for that.
Elections have consequences.
Yeah.
We want,
I
and
mean-
we are going to mass deport in birthright citizenship. That's what the American people voted for. Even people with me with brown skin like this, we voted for Trump to deport these illegal aliens, bro. So I don't know why they keep crying. Again, they didn't accomplish nothing.
Oh, it will.
All right.
It will.
Well,
It takes
okay.
time, but it will.
All right. Well, let me talk.
Like, wait, word,
Okay,
I'll show
the
it.
first thing is, if I can talk, can I talk? Okay, I'm gonna talk. First thing is, they don't give a fuck about what you think, bro. These
don't give a
protests,
fuck
these
what you
people. Listen. Are you gonna let me talk, or are you gonna talk over me?
Go ahead.
Of course, this is the reason why people protest. Cause motherfuckers can't listen.
Go ahead, bro.
All right. First of all, they don't care about what anybody else thinks, bro. They're out there sending a message to their own people saying, hey, I'm here for you. I don't care what you think. They're going to protest, and they have a right to protest. The way they go about it, well, that's their business, right? I can't stop them from doing fucking bullshit, but
Right.
I can sure tell them, hey, I'm going to support them for protesting because they have a right. So it don't matter if the media is not covering it because they don't give a fuck. They're going to keep protesting. I don't care if all these regulations, rules, laws come, they're going to keep protesting, bro. So that's why it don't need to accomplish nothing because that's their voice.
Good.
So there you go.
Thugs and losers.
I was in South America. I was in South America. I almost got deported being an American citizen. There's laws internationally that you could only be in certain areas for 6 months, bro. And me being an American in South America, Colombia, they're gonna say 1 more week you're deported. So I had to leave the country, bro. Their deportation is a must, man. And yeah, is it happy to see? Why do people act like coming here illegally is not a crime, bro? It's a crime, bro. It's a crime coming to this country illegally, dog. At the end of the day, I know that people like Wayward Son is like, damn, he goes too far back, and it's the truth, man. There's a lot of I respect the Native community, bro. I know that the Native community is like, what do you do when you got the Native community right here, you know? And there is a lot of history, but are we living in the past or the future? Are you going to be involved with the crypto stuff that's going to happen in this world? Are you going to sit back and not get rich as hell in your future of everything that the best is coming to America? And people need to appreciate that, man. The best is coming to America. I'll be 40. I'll be 45 years old next week, and I'm telling you the truth. I'm well invested crypto. I'm a crypto guy, man. I'm telling you, man, it's gonna be the best years of our life, ladies and gentlemen. If you want,
I know Wayward Son got something to say. Go ahead and respond, Wayward Son. Get it off.
Now the thing is, he brought up the fact that crossing the border illegally is a crime. Let me ask you something. When did it become a crime? What year did crossing the border undocumented become a crime?
When your white daddy said it was, that's when it became a crime.
No, honestly,
you all in your feelings.
Hey, Wayward Son. If you guys would have had borders in your time of establishing people, you guys would have never been invaded, bro. Like we cannot be invaded.
Hold up,
we cannot be invaded, bro. I say that respectfully, homie.
There's a point that I'm getting to. If this dude would quit getting in his emotions, let me ask you. I'm gonna ask you again.
Okay, I hear you, bro.
What year did it become a crime? Because it wasn't always a crime.
I know you got it all memorized. I believe I interviewed Wounded Knee, bro, the ambassador of the Indian Association.
What year?
I never came
on the panel.
I know.
Anybody
I don't know what to say, my brother.
Did it become a crime?
I can't. I'm not a lawyer. And I want to look for the future. I already been through hell, and I don't got time to worry about.
Go ahead. Let him finish though.
That's not the question. What year did it become a crime? Anybody?
He doesn't know. I don't even think that ever happened.
I got something to add about the protests too.
It became a crime to cross the border without documentation in 1929. Do you know why it became a crime? Do you know why it became a crime? What else was going on in 1929 for them to make that law to make it a crime to come across that border? Do you know what was going on?
Mass deportations.
World War One.
Great Depression?
No.
It was the mass deportations and then
no.
Yeah.
In 1929 was the beginning of the Great Depression.
That's
so
right.
They made a law. So they made a law in 1929 in order to stop people from coming over the border without documentation. But here's the reason why. Because what else was going on in 1929?
Bro, we got AI, we got spaceships, we got technology, we got everything nowadays, bro.
Let him finish.
Do you want to, I mean, can you just like be respectful and just hold up and not get into your feelings? If you want to get into your feelings, put on some panties and step to the side because we're talking facts here.
Who are you talking to? Are you Wayward Son?
Who's jumping in? Now, here's the thing. What year? 1929. Why? What was going on? The Great Depression. Okay. Why did they start doing that? Now, some people might say, okay, because we was going through the Great Depression and there was a struggle here in the United States. So we couldn't have people coming over here when there was so much struggle going on within our own people. But also in 1929 was the beginning of the Mexican repatriation. They were sending Mexicans back to Mexico. All three of those things happened in 1929. The beginning of having to have documentation when you cross the border, making it illegal to cross the border without documentation, the Great Depression and the Mexican repatriation. Because here's what they did. In 1929, during the Great Depression, they started shipping back Mexicans from Mexico, not just illegals. 50%, probably more than 50%, between 50 and 60% of those that were sent back to Mexico were United States citizens, Mexicans born and raised in the United States. Why did they send them back? Because the reason why they sent them back was to make jobs available for the white people. That's exactly why they sent them back. Because Herbert Hoover, who was president at the time that this happened, in his own words said, we want to reserve American jobs for real Americans. Well, wait a minute. You sent back people of Mexican descent that were born and raised in the United States. So what are you telling me? That Mexicans born in the United States aren't real Americans? Because that's who you sent back. That's who you sent back. You sent back over 50% of those that were sent back were born and raised in the United States. I was born and raised in the United States. My jefita was born and raised in the United States. My grandfather was born and raised in the United States. We're not American? You want to reserve those jobs for real Americans? What about us Mexicans? These ones that are up here claiming, I'm an American too. Not according to these folks, because they sent your ass back.
You're talking about Operation Wetback, right?
No, Operation Wetback was much later.
That was the second time
that
they
was
did
That was
it.
I knew there was
second
there's more than one time they did that to us.
The first time
Yeah.
was the Mexican repatriation in 1929.
That happened to my grandmother. Yeah. She was right there in Las
You're
Cruces,
gonna have
New
to jump in, Mr. Dina. Don't wait.
Yeah, no worries.
Go ahead, jump in.
So, I
Jump in.
organize a lot of protests, and everybody has their right to protest, whether I agree with them or not. But what I will say, living in Sonoma County, we are the wine country. And so the actual issues that should be protested right now are not. There are people who are undocumented that have worked on as farm workers here for decades. And so why are the vineyard owners allowed to pay them less than everybody else and not offer a process for becoming legal residents or citizens here, as far as their children and whoever? So there's just a lot of division in our country. I don't agree with burning any flags. I think we're operating as a nation from a place of hatred, and that's not something that I personally support.
So I would agree. If I can jump in on the immigration thing, and this panel is great, right? For reasons that I think Sister Pueda had mentioned, but one of you guys, in terms of us having a dialogue, right? But then there's the social media, right? Of people not wanting to talk, to each other, not wanting to listen. Just everybody wants to say their soundbite and get their attention, and that works to get a lot of followers and to get a lot of likes and views. That doesn't work to have a conversation. And I think, at least from what I've noticed, when conversations are had, we realize we have less different, which it sounds cheesy, but it's true. We have less different than we do when we just watch our lane of social media, right? Where there's a lot of money in highlighting crazy. And that's true anywhere. I'm not picking one political side or the other, but that's just fantastic, right? For dollars, but it's not good for communication and problem solving. This immigration thing, it's, yes, you can look at protests, you can look at folks burning flags, and I agree. I think burning flags is emotional, right? It doesn't accomplish anything, regardless of whose flag. If we're going to start getting to, you can burn this one, but you can't burn that one, and I think it's the same. It's a hypocritical conversation, right? But this whole immigration piece, yes, there's folks out there marching and they're doing what they do. And anytime you get a large group of people together, they're going to have some that are going to act a fool, right? January 6th started as a protest. Next thing you know, some people are beating up cops, right? Like, that's what happens. You get a group of people and some of them decide to behave. It's groupthink. It's not like there's a science behind it, right?
Mob
it's just
mentality.
how people work.
The mob mentality, yeah.
Right. And when they're in a group. But on this immigration point, I feel like folks either don't know or forget maybe or get the wrong impression from the sensationalism of kind of politics, media, and social media. folks without papers overwhelmingly they are the loudest voices of wanting to get fucking papers. It's not as if you have a bunch of undocumented people running around that are thrilled with being undocumented, and then there's these other folks that are, I'm fighting for my right to remain undocumented. That's, again, though, those folks generally aren't out there marching in the streets because they're undocumented. They're not going to go to a fucking protest and get arrested and get deported, right? So it's their kids and their neighbors and their relatives that are out there and trying in their own emotional way to show unison with them with this Mexican flag. The point of when did it become illegal to come here is a mixed conversation depending on what race you're talking about, because the Chinese went through, the Japanese went through, every group has gone through when they're allowed to be here and when they're not. And it always centers around labor. It always centers around work. We've had E-Verify in this country for multiple administrations, right? You have most undocumented people that work, they work under a fake social security number, right? Taxes are taken out of their checks. The IRS at tax time can look because these companies are filing their taxes. Holy shit. We got 7,000 people named Juan with the same social security number that are all working. You know where they're working at because their employer is the one that's sending the documentation. You could go there and arrest all those people if you wanted to. You could find the employers if you wanted to, but you're not going to find the employers because the employers are the ones that are financing campaigns, Democrat or Republican, which is why regardless of the administration, they don't change it. You're not going to go bust all the workers because then big business is going to get mad because they need those workers to make shit affordable for Americans that have papers but get paid shitty at their jobs. So this is a thing where elections come around, election season, post-elections. It's an emotional topic that people get passionate about from multiple perspectives. And I've seen this happen now for decades, right? This is what happens. The reason it doesn't change fundamentally is because the money behind keeping it the same. Undocumented folks have such a process to go through. Reagan did amnesty, right? There was a bunch of people here that didn't have papers. Reagan looked around and was like, there's a shit ton of these fucking people that ain't got no papers. We can't deport them all. We can't get rid of them all. They're not all criminals and rapists. They're not all this. Hey, check this out. Swipe of a pen. Look, you guys are all citizens, okay? Plug into the system. And now we're going to fix, though. Let's not let this happen again. Let's not let there be a case where we have millions and millions and millions of people in this country without papers. That fix still hasn't happened, and Reagan was the president a long time ago because there's no incentive to. But it's not undocumented folks sitting here like, I hate fucking America and running around and protesting. I feel like we set our sights on the wrong folks because then I hate these illegals. They would love to be citizens. There's no roadmap for it, right? There's no pathway. And they're invited into this country. We have a generations long history of America using labor from other countries. So be like, why you come over here and work? Because your company's advertising over here all the damn time. Like, you love me all throughout the year. You just don't like me at election time and soon after elections. But otherwise, you love me. So undocumented folks know you just got to weather this storm. And odds are things are going to go back to normal.
Do you agree with the term illegal?
I think it's semantic. It's not a very polite term, right? This country has a long time of not using very polite terms. If we're going to adjust language to be more sensitive, I think illegal should definitely be on the list of what we adjust. But
what about some of these protest signs that say, and I'm going to open it up, anyone that wants to
They put the signs so that they'll get a picture on Instagram or on TikTok. All the signs. The signs that say, all you illegals go home and F these guys and all the racist terms. The Nazis in fucking Ohio walking around with their flags. The dudes in LA. Everybody just wants to be on a social media feed to get attention. But reacting to all that shit, the broad burning the Mexican flag or whatever else, none of that gets us as a country anywhere except, I'm going to start my account and watch this. Fuck these guys.
I don't mean to laugh, but this is the most intelligent person I've heard talk on the panel. And I'm going to give him props. Well, okay, pues, Norvis. Ahí estamos. But it made a lot of sense in which it's true. if we come together, we'll find out that we have a lot more in common than we don't. And I found that out through panels that I've opened up in my platform. I've opened up panels to Republicans, to different views, and we find out we have a lot of similarity, right? But it's just coming together. And it's like he said, it's distorting all that fucking craziness in the social media. Cause that shit, yeah, that shit will fuck you up, man. You start thinking crazy shit, saying stupid shit, and then you, before you know it, you're lost in the chaos.
Right.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
and
true.
it's hard. And I don't blame people because I myself on social media, I get lost. I have to take a week off just to calm down because I'm like, oh shit. You know what I'm
It's a
saying? But
lot.
I commend the brother. I commend him. Good job, man.
Yeah.
Now I want to
Hey,
ask. I want to
Hey,
ask Wayward Son. Wayward Son, what do you think of the term? Again, we're talking about protest signs, and they hit the corazon like a pinprick in the heart. What do you think about the sign that I said? I'll read a couple of them and I'll throw it out, and anyone can interject. But I want to hear Wayward Son first. No human is illegal. What do you think of that term?
well, see, because that sign is no human is illegal, or there's no illegals on stolen land. Now, I agree with this brother down here because there's a lot of different opinions as to that. Now, if the Apache was to tell me that I should go back where I came from, if the Comanche was to tell me that I am not welcome here, if the Shoshone were to tell me that I should go back home, I would give more credence to them than I would the British or the Irish or the German who call themselves American or who claim these lands. This land is not built on life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This country is built on gunpowder, plain and simple. Now, I would more give credence to the indigenous people, to the original caretakers of these lands, than I would to somebody else who comes from across the water. And that's just my opinion on that. Now, as for those signs, there are so many that hit home. I don't believe in that particular one, illegals, but there's one sign at the protest that I was at, because I've been to 3 in the past 2 weeks. At the protest that I was at, there was an old school Mexicano. He had to have been about 80 years old, and he was holding up the sign, and he was thanking the youngsters. He says, "Thank you." He says, "Thank you, chaval." He had it in Spanish. "Thank you, chavalones, for speaking when we were too afraid to speak." And I looked at that sign, and I looked at him holding up that sign, and I thought, you know what? When my father was here, not my grandfather, when my father was here, my father spoke Spanish fluently. He never taught us Spanish, to the point that I was called a pocho by Mexicanos from Mexico. It wasn't that he was ashamed of his culture. It was that he could not. You could be physically, they would put their hands on you just for being Mexican, just for speaking
Yeah.
Spanish. In my grandfather's time, my grandfather was born in 1898. Between 1910 and 1920, they lynched over 5,000 Mexicans here in the United States, some of them burnt alive. In my grandfather's time, you could be lynched just for being our colors, just for being our
Mexico.
people. So I understood, because these aren't things that I read in a book. These are palabras given to me by my grandfather and my father. So I've heard their stories, because my father was here in the United States. He was 7 years old during Operation Wetback. My grandfather was 30 years old during the Mexican repatriation. Now, I understand that, and I see those type of signs, and they affect me a certain kind of way. Because me, like this brother down here, I have my DD 214. I was a 51 Bravo, 980th Engineer Battalion, 420th Engineer Brigade. Now, some people probably wouldn't believe that, because they look at my mindset and think, "Oh, well, you're over here, you're a liberal, you're this, that, and that." I've been accused of being a
Yeah.
conservative too. I've been accused of being a conservative too, because I believe in freedom of speech. I believe in the Second Amendment. When I was a chavalon, there wasn't less fortunate or underprivileged. You was a one. You was a periche. You were a bum.
Yeah.
And I worked for mine. I own my own business. So I understand that mentality too. I was born and raised here. And the thing is, when I see those signs, they affect me a certain way, because I know so many that have suffered through it. So, I look at those signs, I read them, and I take them to heart, man.
Nino America, I want to give you the floor. What do you think when people want to point out the black eyes of the history of the United States?
I guess they have the right to do so. You know, everybody has a history. No one's here is perfect, but you know, I don't live in the past. The Bible says, you know, to not. I don't know no man after the flesh. I don't care about, you know, lineage down the line. The Bible even talks about that. Like, don't get into endless like questions of genealogies because it just brings up more questions. So I don't delve into that. I really don't care, honestly. What I care about is today and tomorrow, I guess. My future, the future of my children, my family. You know, I'm not in this victim mindset. I look in the mirror and I blame myself for my mistakes that I made in my life. I don't look at the white man for holding me down. I don't look at big government to get any bigger. I want the government to basically just get out of my way and watch me work. And I've built many successful companies that way, and just by working hard and not blaming the white man or blaming any man for anything. I think a lot of people are just stuck in the past. They're very backwards in their thinking, and they want to sit there and just blame, you know, people from 100 to 500 years back for their problems that they have today. I don't do that. I'm in West Texas. These white oil men out here, and you know, everybody that works in the oil field, you know, we all come together to make this money. And man, there's some hardworking son of a guns out here. So I had to say this: I don't blame anybody, and I don't sit here and just point at history, because let's be honest, what can we really trust? But like I said, I just focus on the future and the present. And that's how I go about living my life, especially with in regards to having my family and providing the best life for my family in the greatest country in history, the USA.
Amen.
There you go. Hey, Nino, doesn't it also say love thy neighbor in that Bible of yours?
Okay, so
Shouldn't you love your neighbor? Meaning your country next to you, the country next to you. I'm pretty sure that's your neighbor. But I'm pretty sure they're your neighbors.
Okay, or Norby, so do you love child predators?
You're throwing something else. You're throwing something else. I'm just saying the things you're saying as far as Bible verses. Because that is in the Bible. That is in the Bible. I mean, I can also say,
you love your neighbor, the child molester.
I'm just saying.
I don't.
You're saying Bible verses, Nino. You can't pick and choose which ones you could work and manipulate towards what you're saying. I'm just shooting you another Bible verse. Is that not a Bible verse?
Are you a Christian?
Is that not a Bible verse? Why do I have to be why would that matter if I'm a Christian?
It's kind of hypocritical.
But why would that matter? But why would that matter? I'm just quoting a verse.
Judge not, lest you be judged.
Hey, finish the verse. Hold on.
Judge not, lest you be judged.
That's not a scripture.
Hold on. Jesus finished the verse. The Lord Jesus said to take the mote out of your own eye before you get the beam out of your brother's, or get the beam out of yours before you get the mote out of your brother's eye. So we are to judge righteously. Amen. So anyways, Norby's, again, like I said, is the Chomo your neighbor? And do you love the Chomo neighbor of yours?
I mean, in the Bible, as long as you take Jesus, if they accept Jesus into their heart, they are also part of Jesus. They're all part.
I don't believe that. Romans chapter 1.
You don't have to believe that. That's what he said.
No, the Bible says
that's what he said.
And I thought you want to talk the Bible. Let's go. Romans chapter 1.
No, I mean, what was that saying? The first with guilt, throw the first stone.
The Bible, hey,
the Bible scholars.
The Lord Jesus.
I got a question for Wayward Son.
Yeah.
Oh man, Norby's.
Can I ask you a question, bud?
Yeah, say it out loud.
Okay, so I'm a Trumper, bro, and I went to a Native American sweat. I felt like I needed to go there to really find myself, to really get balance in it. And I don't know if you're qualified or certified in that area to present a sweat to those of us that are here right now that were willing to do a limpia or a sweat, a Native American one, because you know what it is, 4 rounds of 4 hours of that rock, bro. And it takes, you got to be healthy. You got to be spiritually strong, and you got to let whatever reigns in your heart reign, because when that cloth crosses over in this darkness, it's the truth, man. And would you be willing to do a sweat for us that would be willing right here, that are willing to show up and really do something like that, Native Americanism?
Oh yeah, there's a few tribes out here that in LA that do that also.
Yeah. Where are you located? Because
let's start there, man.
Heights.
Because at the end of the day, we could disagree, and I can get mad at you, and you're not a Trumper, and I feel like if you don't pledge allegiance to the flag, it makes me mad. But that's okay, bud. That's okay. I want to honor this country, even though you might think it's 500 years away, we've been robbed. It might be true, but I'm moving in the future.
Yeah.
And I know I'm going to be a wealthy man in the future through cryptocurrencies and the financial system that's changing.
There he goes. Always
But-
plugging
but-
his Bitcoin on.
But let's be honest. Let's be honest. Can we,
Go ahead,
Mikey?
Cholo Trucker.
Mikey's down. Mikey's down to do
Let's go ahead, and
Nice,
give it over,
Lodge.
go ahead and give it over to Cholo Trucker. Go ahead, hermano.
All right, first off, man, I just want to go ahead and say I was born at Doctors Hospital 2, Whittier Boulevard, in between Herbert and Gage, homie. So shout outs to you, Carnal. That's right, homie.
Hey.
That's right.
All right, man. Making full circle here, immigration, man. So what is the answer for everybody on immigration? Should people be deported? Should they not be deported? If they're not deported, should they be given citizenship? That's what we're talking about, immigration.
Right,
This
right.
conversation is going all over the place, but immigration, what is it? What's everybody's answer for immigration?
We definitely need improved education around everything. Within California, that's something that I'm big on in the community is educating on the legalization process, but understanding, what is the narrative that's coming from a place of fear. And working as a former public school employee, our literacy rates are at 50% for the state of California. So our youth don't know anything. They can't help their parents who maybe don't know English. And so that's a really important part of the problem that's not being addressed.
Yeah, you know how we'll stop immigration? If the U.S. stops exploiting all the countries south of us. If they stop doing that and actually let these people invest money in their countries, those people will stop coming here and they will stay there. They will be happy and there will be a lot less immigrants in the United States. But as long as the U.S. keeps their noses in every single goddamn country south of there, we're going to get caravans from Venezuela, from Honduras, from Ecuador. We're going to get nothing but caravans because we keep sticking our noses in other countries. We don't have to, but we exploit them because we thrive out of their resources. We need their resources.
Yeah.
That's how we'll stop immigration.
You sure do make America look like a bad guy for being the superpower, bro. Like, damn, what do you want us to do? Get on our knees and just kiss everybody's ass, Norby?
Well, I don't know. I don't know anybody in this world that is all good. Do you?
Nope.
Exactly.
Norby,
Yes,
I think that the one that you were talking about is it's Leviticus 19:33-34. That's the one that says about a stranger in your house. Let them dwell in your house. I don't know if that's the one you were looking for, but
Leviticus.
that's the one that talks about.
I'm not a fan of Leviticus, to be honest, but
I don't know. I just looked it up, and that's where it's at.
That's where you find all the witchcraft.
It's in the New King Version. Yeah, just for FYI.
Look,
Go ahead.
Could I jump in real quick? Let me jump in. A lot of you guys talking about the Bible, talking about all these other things. If we were to really base our lives on what the Bible said, the Old Testament, the old laws, they had hundreds of laws that nobody ever followed, So if we're gonna pick and choose, it just makes it a joke, But let's get back to immigration, right? So Norby talked about the U.S. being involved in other countries, right? It's true, right? But the reason why, because the government of those countries sell out their people. Every country south of the U.S. has socialist governments. They're terrible. Venezuela's falling apart because Hugo Chavez started, destroyed everything. Every country down there. So if you have a country that's able to sell out and buy out, nobody's right. Nobody's perfect, right? But as far as immigration, right? Adelina mentioned that, right? The reason why they don't want to pass immigration is because they know that once you become legal, you have rights and you get to pay. You get to make more money, right? So if you're legal, if you're under the table, they could pay you. They could pay you less. They could give you no health insurance. They could take advantage of you. So this is why they don't want people to be legal, because literally, if you get rid of that cheap workforce, all these big companies, they'll make a profit. You know what I mean? And every political party has ran on immigration for years, and they've never fixed it. You know what I mean? Back and forth. But I think right now we have the best chance with Trump in office. Because Trump's a businessman, not a politician. He's a businessman, right? So he's getting. So he said, "I want to deport everybody out of the country," right? It's not going to happen, right? What's going to happen? There'll be some pushback, really, really bad. That Trump watches his social media. He watches TikTok. He watches all that, right? So there'll be a real bad pushback that he ain't gonna like. And he's gonna probably do some kind of amnesty. He's already talked about it. Maybe do like a DACA thing or something, you know. So I'm thinking that he'll probably be able to do something like Reagan did, right? But they ain't gonna fix it, bro, because they don't want it. People that have money run the world, and they want cheap labor, and that's what it is, bro. You know what I mean? So a lot of people that are out there protesting, which you have, you're right? But I would say, why don't we help our people get immigrated? You know what I mean? For years, when my mother was here in the U.S., right? She was always legal, right? She worked at factories in L.A. They would always raid LA. They would always come in. My mom would say, I don't have to run. I'm legal. So all her friends, all her compliance would always run. When the MAGA came in the 70s, right? They stopped doing that in LA, right? But they would do that. The MAGA came, all her friends would take off, right? She would tell me, oh yeah, my friend so-and-so got taken. My friend so-and-so got taken. But she never ran. Why? Because she did everything legal, right? But for years, because we're a sanctuary state, sanctuary city, right? They didn't do that anymore. So people that come in, well, I ain't got to do that. I ain't got to pay the money. I ain't got to go through all the process, right? Because literally they're not doing raids, right? But now they're doing raids. Now everybody's freaking out. Why? Because for years they didn't enforce the law. So we got laws in this country. So if we don't enforce them, people come in, and they're not bad people, but they'll come in, say, well, I ain't got to pay that fine. I ain't got to pay that. I ain't got to get that permit, because they're not doing nothing anyways. So now we got people that are millions of people in this country that never apply for any kind of paperwork or whatever. They're illegal. They're invisible, and now they're scared. Why? Because for years, people that were in here, they didn't enforce the law, let everybody do what they wanted to do, run amok, and now we're in trouble. You know what I mean? That's what it is. If you don't have laws, and if you don't follow the laws, people are going to break the law, not because they're bad, it's because literally, if you're on the freeway and they got no speed limit, you're going to drive as fast as you want to go, right? But because there's speed limit now. Why? To avoid accidents, right? This is why we have laws, right? And we might not like them, but it keeps the peace. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hey guys,
So the process.
I want to just stop right here. Sorry, really quick. Unfortunately, I don't know if you guys know, but I do work on other podcasts, and I'm currently I got to start another podcast in half an hour. And if you guys can see, I'm right here at Tony Vision. We're gonna do Freaky Tales at about 8:00. So my apologies that I can't stay any longer. It was great talking to all of you guys. I appreciate you guys. Much love and blessing to all of you guys.
Right.
I'll see you in the next one.
Narvi.
So
and I'm gonna drop everyone's social media handles at the end of the description right here. But let me just throw this to general public just to keep the conversation, and we're almost done, gente. No president has reformed immigration ever. Do you think that's purposeful? Anyone want an opinion on this? And do you think that's on purpose, or do you think there will be a time where it's going to be reformed?
I think a lot of presidents intended to solve immigration, and then they ran into the rest of the politicians that run the country and the money behind it. So president doesn't have full control, right? So I think presidents, a lot of times people run for president and then they get elected and they realize you got to go through Congress, you got to go through all this other stuff, and it's not quite as easy as you just sort of do what you want. So I wouldn't say none of them wanted to, but obviously they didn't. The process of what it takes to become a citizen has changed over the years, and the funding for immigration courts has been stripped over and over and over and over by Democratic and Republican administrations. So people coming across, your first hearing is in 2 years, 3 years, where that didn't used to be the case, right? It used to be that there was more funding for the immigration process, so it moved faster. And that funding is gone. The immigration enforcement system has shrunk, not just in Border Patrol, but through the courts and the actual legal process, through the people in INS that are supposed to look at the papers. So you have people that say, hey, I became a U.S. citizen in the 60s. It was no problem. I became a U.S. citizen in the 80s. It took me 6 months. What the hell is all these people's? And that's, again, part of the divide. Okay, but you can't do that fast now, right? With rare exceptions. If you're coming over from India and you work for a tech company and they, there's ways to get around it if you have the employment lined up. But for your average person, your average laborer that's coming over here, the process, it's not just a lack of desire, right? It's also the system itself is broken. It is radically underfunded, and you got to get in line. But you can sit in line for 10 years. You know what I mean?
But does anybody deal with that here? Don't raise your hand if you do. Like, I don't deal with immigration, man. I don't deal with none of that. None of my family deals with that. I'm an American, and yeah, I come from Spanish-speaking people, but we did things right, man. And we came over here like legally with lawyers and everything, man. And it doesn't apply to me. I think that we get it twisted with cultural thuggism from California. Like, shout out to everybody from Texas, but we have a cultural disruptity like in our lives that we see ourselves when we see ourselves tatted, we think that immigration is talking to us. It's not talking to us. Our identity crisis is something different than like immigration. Immigration has nothing to do with us. We grew up in a whole different bubble of growth in the United States and California, a special time in California. It was a special time. Like honestly, are you guys worried about ICE? I'm not worried about that. My kid.
Well,
No, man.
I've
I'm not
worked
worried
in it.
about that, bro.
Right. I've
All
worked in
right.
the
Can I
immigration
answer
field
that?
since Obama. So I have some interest in it because I've worked in the field and deal with the families. Am I worried about it? No. But do I have a connection to communities that are deeply concerned with it? Absolutely.
I
I
But
think
I'm
think
just
Yeah, I
speaking for
mean, if I
myself.
can answer that too.
church.
And you know what? Hey, kudos to you that you don't have to worry about it, brother. That's fucking awesome, you know? Because that's one less worry you have to worry about, your family has to worry about, because there's already enough to worry about just living, right? But some of us don't have that privilege, man. And it's not a crying privilege. It's just that we don't have it. And you know what? Oh, well, we got to work on it. We got to better ourselves. We got to find a way. And let me tell you, undocumented people will find a way, bro. They are the most driven people I've known in the community, right? Let me give you an example, bro. My mom, she escaped the guerrilla war in El Salvador to come over here, and she came illegally, right? But thankful to Ronald Reagan, a Republican, he managed to pass some kind of reform. My mom was able to get it right away. Boom, there we go. Now my
Thank you for
mom,
sharing that.
you
Thank you
know,
for sharing
she
that.
lives here, and she lived a happily life. And
I
what
don't think that
her son,
Go ahead,
uh,
Mr. Dina.
what?
thank you. In this nation, I don't think that any president intends to solve immigration. I study very much so what happens locally, and I can tell you that everybody's in bed together because it's a business. And so that
Right.
absolutely happens at the federal level. And so we are controlled by the media on our way of thinking. One of the number one industries is human trafficking. And so if you actually take the time to listen to stories of victims who were brought here against their will,
Yeah.
perhaps they escaped and this has become their home. And so maybe perhaps our president at the time doesn't agree with trafficking, but there are people, to get to the level of being a president, you have to have a huge amount of political support and financial backing, and that means you have to be willing to align yourself with corporate agendas. And so that's something that is not communicated through the media.
Are you willing to put yourself on
What
the
is
line for those protests, like on an interview? Like I interviewed a woman that was illegal from Venezuela. She was a teacher, and it was a horrible. Like I didn't know how to really act through the whole situation. But she was talking about how you're talking about, sister, about like them coming over here for she was a teacher. I could tell she's an educated person. So there is lines and boundaries, but there's a way, man. And I know Wayward Son doesn't believe in immigration or like borders or whatever, but I think you should, brother. Like I think we should protect our homeland, the Native American bald eagle of the America great. We're gonna do that over here. We're gonna live our best lives, ladies and gentlemen. You guys
See,
gotta
I
be
think most
Hey,
people I think most people agree with the
what
borders
is
though.
solving what is solving immigration? Like we just hear that. Hey, what is it? Define what is solving immigration.
Well, people are immigrating here because the conditions in their home country are terrible. So
Okay.
when in the U.S. we play a huge financial role, for example, for these, the United Nations or what have you, we have to make sure that in those countries that the aid is actually going to the community and they're not being run in a certain way where they feel oppressed and they feel that they are in a third world country. So we do have freedoms and privileges here, and people are coming here because they feel that it's a better way of life. So the solution is that their home country needs to be fixed, and so that I don't have the answer to.
See, I'm not
Right.
against
I
that.
agree with that.
I
They're all
think
corrupt.
borders.
They're all corrupt.
Sometimes with the immigration conversation, it jumps. It's like between people who believe in borders and don't believe in borders, right? And I personally, I don't know many people. I hear some on social media once in a while, but I don't actually know many people who are like, we should just erase the border of the United States. Like, it's sort of a common sense. We need
I
to
want to
have a
ask
border,
Wayward on
right?
this. Wayward,
Right.
And
I
so,
want you to respond. I'm sorry, Josh. I'm sorry, my bro. I want him to respond over to what Si Se Puede said that you don't believe in borders. What are your thoughts on the
Yeah.
borders?
See, here's the thing, and a lot of people think that way because of what I speak on, because I speak on the history of our people. Because before America was, we were. But here's the thing, when it comes to those borders, right? A lot of people think that automatically I'm going to feel a certain way about it. Now, that's because they don't know me and my personal experience. They don't know that I know, personally know, a coyote who brings over people across that border. And through her, what I learned was that a lot of the little girls are giving birth control pills before they come over.
That's
Because
right.
sometimes being SA'd is just a very big possibility. It's the cost of coming over. Okay? Now, I'm gonna say that again so you hear, so you understand where I'm fixing to say and where I'm coming from. They give these little girls birth control pills before they come over because being SA'd is a real possibility and sometimes the price of coming over. Okay. So I understand that, knowing that from a coyote that I know personally. Now, seeing this, and also you have to understand, how much do you think it costs to cross that border?
The cartel's working with terrorism.
Exactly. Because
Terrorism, bro.
it costs a lot to come across that border. How much does an average Mexican make per week, per month? It takes a lot of money, a lot of hard work, and a lot of saving to gain that money. If you think the cartels aren't involved in that trafficking, you're out of your mind. Yes, they are deeply involved. But here's the thing, too. Now, when I'm out there protesting, I'm not protesting, oh, we should just open the borders and let everybody go each way. That's not what I'm protesting. The reason that I'm out there, the reason what I'm doing is that what criteria are they using to determine whether or not I'm illegal or not illegal, and the blonde-haired, blue-eyed person standing next to me is illegal or not illegal? What criteria, when they come up and they see me standing next to two blonde-haired, blue-eyed people, do you think they're going to ask them for their documentation, or are they going to ask me? They're going to come to me based on what criteria? What are they using? What is the criteria for asking somebody whether or not they have documentation?
A real
It
ID.
is plain and simple. The color of your skin. For them to even come to you, they're not going to go to that blonde-haired, blue-eyed people, although we have blonde-haired,
okay,
blue-eyed
though. It's
people
okay, though,
that
if
are
they do.
Mexican.
Yeah.
There are Mexicans that are blonde-haired, blue-eyed, but they're not going to go to them. They're going to come
Okay,
to
at the
me.
border checkpoints, they're gonna go
You-
to everybody.
No, no.
It's-
They are going right now on the Diné Nation, on the Navajo Nation, on the reservation, and those off the reservation, they are going to them. And you can go and you can talk to Diné, you can talk to the Navajo if you have any connection to them, and they will tell you personally, because it's a big problem. It's even being brought up to the tribal council because they're having to deal with it. Why? Because they look like us.
Right,
Because
enforcement-
the Apaches look like us. And
Of
the
course.
Apaches are in New Mexico, not along
People
the
are-
border.
Right, people are getting pulled over on the street by ICE because of the color of their skin. I get that. Right, we've seen those videos. But I mean, if you're going through San Isidro, right? If you're going through a border checkpoint, they're checking your regardless
Nobody
what you
wants
look
to go
like.
to Mexico. Nobody wants to go
They're
to Mexico.
checking your
no more.
papers, right?
But we're not talking about that. I'm in Irving.
Yeah, we're
I'm
not
right
talking
here.
about
I'm in
that.
Dallas,
That's right.
Texas.
I thought we were talking about borders.
Yesterday,
No.
they did a raid
He
over
said-
Irving, Texas. Yesterday, they did a raid over Irving, Texas. We are nowhere near the border.
Good.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It's different. Okay, right. I think we're saying the same thing, and maybe over there. At the border between the U.S. and Mexico, they're checking everybody, regardless what you look like, if you're
Right.
going through a
Yeah.
checkpoint.
Right.
Off the
Right.
border,
Every car.
deeper into the United States, when they're patrolling, yes, they're stopping people based on your skin color and what you look like. Of course, right?
They have made the color of our skin probable cause. And they're violating their own laws in order to force, they're violating this law, racial profiling, in order to enforce that one.
Right.
So,
for sure.
So who's right? All I'm saying
not really a
is
law.
there needs to be a
That's not really a law.
criteria. There needs to be, like she said, reform. Something. What is it that you're basing this on? Why are you coming for my people based on the color of our skin? They have been doing that. And for anybody that says it's not about skin color, okay, when they stand that, you know what? I'm going to start videotaping this. I'm going to have some of us Mexicanos go with a couple of brown-haired, blue-eyed people and see which ones they come up to and which ones they ask. Mexicanos
I don't
that are
think-
legal But
I don't think
and they're gonna
anybody's
ask
debating
the
that, though.
Mexicano 100% of the time. That's just
Right.
all it is.
Yeah,
Racial
I don't.
profiling.
I mean,
Yeah, I don't think anybody's arguing with that. But
I mean,
I just thought we were talking about at the border.
if you're saying it's just brown, I mean,
Yeah,
what
so
about
if I
Middle
could jump,
Eastern?
if I could jump in,
People wearing turbans. I mean,
Yeah.
people from Iraq, and I
Them
mean,
too.
they're brown skin as well. You know, I mean,
It's the
Good
there's a
point.
color
lot
of your skin.
there's a lot of people. Yeah, I mean, color of the skin, but it's not just strictly just
Because they don't
Mexicano.
look.
I mean, you
You
got a
look a
lot of
certain way. You know, I've got
you
an
look a certain
Apache brother.
you look a certain way. Yeah, you
This
can.
here,
I mean, turban on the heads as well.
this here was given to me by Apache brother. He's an Apache. He's an Apache. He gave this to me. It's a spirit stick. He gave this to me as a gift. That brother, who's a Apache, he's Apache. He was called a wetback because you know why? Because he looks like us. Because they look a Native American, the original caretakers of these lands, was called a wetback and told to go back where he came from. Why? Because he looks like us. Because they constantly judge it. When you see a person, and even some of you, and even though you won't admit it, when you see a person, you see an African American or you see a white person, the first thing you see isn't the content of their character. The first thing you see that you notice that comes to your mind is the color of their skin and who they are. You see that. You can lie about it, but you see that. When I walk into a store and it's an all white tea store, I notice that. They notice me. That's just what it is. And I understand. I'm not saying whether it's good or bad. I'm just saying that's what it is. So when
But
we
if they don't,
see
if they don't got a powerful presence, you're gonna see that. If they don't got more than just that, like you're gonna see a skin color.
afterwards,
There's
but I'm
people
talking
that have
about your
way more
first
than that.
impression. When
Yeah.
somebody walks into the room, it just clicks in your mind.
Okay, but if we're
That's-
talking,
How can you live your life
so
like that?
excuse
bro?
me,
Like,
quick.
man,
If we're
Right.
talking
Yeah.
about, if we're talking about fixing immigration, though, right? Because it's
Mm.
trying to circle back to where Cholo Trucker was at. If we're talking about
Yeah.
fixing immigration, there's multiple angles. I think some are more fast than others. Changing the sociology of America when it comes to discrimination is a hell of a project, right? We're not going to get that done anytime soon. It
that's
doesn't
why
mean
we're
that it's not.
protesting.
That'll
It
never
doesn't
happen.
mean that it's not a worthy fight. It doesn't mean that it's not something that should continue
never
to
gonna
be
happen.
addressed, of course. But if we're waiting for that to happen to fix immigration, then it's never going to get fixed. But on a more tangible level, right? I don't think there's very many people, again, aside from some social media voices, right? But kind of real life average folks, right? I don't think there's very many people who really believe there should be no border for the United States on either end, right? That becomes talking point shit. Well, you guys all say no borders, you guys say this, but that's the propaganda. I don't think that's most Americans. I think we agree there should be a border. At that border, you need to have some level of security, figure out who's crossing from one side to the other. That's kind of basic, right?
And I
And
think
then
it's a
a
continual.
process. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, thank you. I think it's a continual cycle because of the legislation. We became a sanctuary area here in California because that's 100% about human trafficking. They want undocumented people there so they can traffic them. That's the only reason, because that's a lot of what I work on in my journalism. And so when the legislation is set up to create this controversy in the community, we're never going to fix it because it's perpetuating the problem.
Yeah, exactly.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah, if I could jump in, give my 2 cents. I know we're kind of going everywhere, but I think could I get in there a little bit? Let me squeeze in right here. I know you guys are going good a bit because you guys are going to leave me and I'm going to lose my thought. But could you hear me? I'm kind of buffering a little bit. But like Brother Wade, what Brother Wayward Sunday was talking about, he talked about people, we're racial profiled, and then you look at a white person, a black person. That's just human nature, bro. We're all fallen according to the Bible. We're all sinners. Nobody's perfect, so we all have our issues. Like fat people, short people, people with curly hair. We all have our biases. I drink Coke, you drink Pepsi, whatever. Everybody has a preference. That's human nature. We all pick and choose, right? But when it comes to the border, right? And I want you guys to focus. And you brought it up a little bit, but I'm thankful. Not everybody talks about the child trafficking, right? I got a friend that works he's a reporter in Mexico and stuff, and when you go through the Darien Gap, South America, all these NGOs, which is like Red Cross and all these other groups that the government gives money to, right? They give money to like help, I guess, stop illegal immigration. What they do is they make it easy. They set up camps, and then they give, when the girls are coming, they give them what they call rape kits. They say about 80% of the girls that come to, they get raped, bro. And they're saying, well, you're gonna get raped anyways. So they give them the day after pill, right? So for me, like my mindset, I said I want to stop the border, not because it's against the law, right? Because it's a moral issue, bro. And we already lost like over 300,000 kids have been lost already, and most of them are little brown kids, little girls. You know what I mean? So the government has admitted some of them, not all of them, but we know that kids are being trafficked. They're brought into these little chicken farms and all these. They busted a farm. I think I forgot what state. They were out of Florida or something. They busted a bunch of kids over there. So we know we have kids. Literally, right now, child trafficking has surpassed the drug business, bro. There's more money in selling a kid over and over and over again than there is in doing drugs. That's a big issue, And what it is, you have to understand that most of the kids that are being trafficked are brown kids. It's our little people, a little raza. South America, Central, Mexico, it doesn't matter, So what it is if you want a border, because once you cut the border, right, with the border being open, right, that gives the cartels the avenue to exploit kids, right? And like you're saying, they don't got any money, right? They don't got money. What they do is they're servants, they're what do they call them? They're indentured servants. So whenever you cross across the border, you have a number, you have a tag, and tell you got to pay off whatever whether it's $7,000 or $12,000, you got to pay off the money, because if you don't pay it off, we're going to kill your parents or your family, So these kids or these people go in and they get into the slave trade. I live in Southern California, right? Pomona is a human trafficking capital of America, bro. Pomona, right next to where I live, bro. You know what I mean? And you see them all through the whole. You can go down Hope Boulevard, which is like a major street, Pomona, California, and SoCal, any day of the week, and at all hours, there's hookers there all over the place. You know what I mean? And these are all people that you look at them, you say, where do I start? And I always do like a lot of feeding all the nonprofits, right? So I'll go in there and I'll try to feed people. And my God, you go feed in one park, and there'll be like another bowl over there, another bowl over there. There's so many people they're always busting raids and stuff. So what I'm saying is, having an open border with no security facilitates illegal child trafficking, human trafficking. That's such a crazy thing. The media does not cover. Why? Because every politician, and I can give you names, bro, but I won't online, But they all get paid by governments, by other people that send people over here, and they all make money, bro. It's such a dirty business, bro. If you think calling somebody a racial slur or looking at somebody because they're brown, if you think that's bad, bro, the things they do that you don't even know about, it's way worse than that. Way worse than that. It's crazy, bro.
Can I?
You know what I mean? Our little kids are being trafficked.
Hope Boulevard is pretty bad, man. Hope Boulevard is pretty bad.
Can I ask
bad,
a question?
bro.
And you know what? The story not the story, but what you're telling me, yeah, that shit, oh, man, that breaks the heart, bro. I mean, and I'm not denying that that's not happening. That is happening. In an immense amount of money is being poured. All the money involved in that is fuck. It's ugly. But my question is, well, two questions. One is, an open border. Are you talking about gaps in the border? Because that's what there is. There's gaps in the border. I know that for sure, where people can cross. But an open border, when people say open border, it means like people are just walking in without a hassle. That's what I get when people say open border.
They were coming in for 4 years, bro. Thousands are coming in, thousands at a time.
Okay, where and what points in the border is that happening? Because I look at the border and I see there's gaps, where people can cross. And I said, well, obviously people are going to come across there. But when people say open border, it sounds like the port of entry is open and people are just pouring in and coming in the thousands and millions. And it's like,
the biggest border, the biggest border that was, I think, the biggest border that we have the biggest border, bro, in the world. The biggest border of the world, right? And a lot of areas like Texas were really open for a long time. They started putting up a wall. Arizona, you know what I mean? So it has been almost like shut down, right? But for years, bro, it was open, and literally when you come in, right away you stay, you get a card, you get a hotel, you get money, you know what I mean? They would just come in, you know what I mean? So it's not as bad as it was before, but it's still not secure.
Okay. I'm not denying, I'm not saying it's not true. If you can give me the link to that information, I would be more than happy to read it, because
I'm definitely I'll send you, bro. I'll send you, bro.
Okay.
Bro, I'll send you videos,
Okay.
bro. I'll send you connections to reporters that
Okay.
work on the
Okay.
border that'll give you live streams of them coming through, bro.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
All
All
right.
right.
Well,
So
you can send me what I'm asking, but real quick, is closing the border really gonna solve that problem? Because it hasn't solved the problem with the drugs.
It'll make it. It'll make
They
it
close
less
the
probable.
border.
It'll make it less of a thing.
Right. Okay. All
Look,
right.
look, look.
Because
I'll give you an
closing the
example. I'll give you an
border.
example, right? I'll give you an example.
Okay, wait.
Bro, I'll give you
Let me
one
finish
example,
real
right?
quick. Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Let me finish real quick. Because closing the border,
Go ahead.
drugs are still gonna come through, bro. These motherfuckers are fucking. I don't know how the fuck they do it.
Yeah.
They fucking
Like
find a
I
way
said,
to-
okay, I don't care. I don't care if you're a mom, if you're a dad. I just care about the kids, bro. You know what I mean? So if you
Right,
want to work,
right.
you're gonna cross the border, you're gonna dig a tunnel. It doesn't matter, right? But I'm talking about the illegal stuff, the child trafficking, the drogas, the cartels. I'm gonna give you an example, right? And I think Abina would know, right? Abina would know. When they legalized drugs, bro, when they legalized marijuana in California, what happened to all the Humboldt County growing? What happened over there?
Yeah, thank you, brother, for
When
explaining
it became
what's going on.
legal. Yeah, okay. So I'm sorry. When they legalized weed in California, what happened to all the Humboldt County growers up north? What happened to them?
They still
I don't know. I just know there was all sorts of fucking pot growing places all over.
April, they went out of business. They shut down. They shut because the government took over because they stopped it, right? So that flow, right, of drugs that were coming, they stopped it because it became a business. So when you stop that border thing, it'll stop that business. It'll stop it. It'll cancel it. You know what I mean? It will. It'll end. You know, you'll have still some here and there, but you're not going to have it by the millions, bro. Yes.
They'll put them out of business.
Put them out of business, bro. You will not have. You will. Of course. They're not going to all be legal, right? They're not going to become santitos. What I'm saying is you won't have the feed anymore or the draw of people coming in by the hundreds, right, to come in because it'll be hard. You're gonna have to go through checkpoints, you know what I mean, get caught or whatever. You know, if you get caught, they give you 10 years or give whatever it is, right? So it won't be easy. But with the border being up for years, it was easy, bro. Easy pickings. You walk right in, you know. But not no more. So if he goes and we shut it down, it'll stop that giant flow, that giant demand of kids, bro. Think about it, bro.
Okay,
it's not about personal feelings.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Mr. Dina, go ahead. The floor is yours.
Yeah,
Okay.
I agree with you, brother. Thank you for speaking about what's going on in Southern California because that's exactly what I'm dealing with in Sonoma County. And I work with the cannabis growers out in Humboldt trying to unmonopolize the industry because they're not giving anybody permits out there. But they did declare that area a sanctuary area. They were trafficking our kids from here in Sonoma out to Humboldt. And I do agree because the more I investigate who's involved in these trafficking rings, I would 100% believe that Border Patrol agents are involved in facilitation because everybody gets kickbacks.
All government, bro.
Yeah, everybody.
I think we're all worried about so much stuff, but besides our own families, how many of us are taking care of our kids, our wives, our families, our religion, our safety, our network, who we are as people? Who are we taking care of our people? Like we can have so much opinions about what's going on in the world, but look, I'm going on a 21-year marriage, man, and by the grace of God, like the funniest thing is being a dad. We got to establish strong families, guys. I come from a blended family where there's hella wreckage, bro, and we come from wreckage from the 90s. We come from this freaking gang banging mentality of that puts us under immigration, and it's not the same, man. Free yourselves. I'm about to be 45 next week. You know what I'm saying? We got to free ourselves and be proud to be Americans, ladies and gentlemen. We got to be proud, man. I know that there's wounds in the past, like every family, but let me tell you something. If you can't see the future, I don't know what to tell you guys, man. There's a great future ahead of us. We talk about human trafficking. Let's talk about the piggy men that are pigs. Men that are pigs, bro. How we brought up in the Latin community. How it's promoted to freaking be a womanizer, to be an animal. Let's talk about that. We talk about changing our system and our world and our families, like, and our everything about us. Like, there's a lot to go into, guys. There's a lot to go into, and the reality is that if you
left.
So just to let you know,
Let me,
I
do believe real quick. I do believe that you could be a father and a husband, and also care.
Yeah.
I think
I
his
think
mic
he
turned off.
muted.
Yeah.
I think he got muted.
All the drama is going on. That's a distraction. Did I get it?
All right, let me get it.
Go ahead, Cholo
We're
Trucker.
not
Get in here.
victims, man. We're not victims.
First of all, I would like to link up with these two characters right here because I do work with child molestation, but I got like a bunch of questions, man, because we got like, so sidetracked. Immigrants that are here illegally, should they be deported?
Yeah.
Only if they have criminal records.
Only okay. Let me talk to you, Rasky. All right, only if they have criminal records. Okay, if they don't, what do you do?
They need to go through the process of becoming a citizen, right?
Okay.
And more federal money needs to be put into the immigration system to process these folks' paperwork faster, right? So somebody has a job. Most of these folks have jobs and have places to live, right? And so you have a job, you have a place to live, you're here. Your issue is you don't have papers. Okay, cool. What is our process to get papers? The citizenship test in this country, which I don't pretend to know every step of it off the top of my head, but there is a paperwork process. You learn a little bit of U.S. history, you take your Pledge of Allegiance, and boom, right? So that doesn't need to be a multi-year process for somebody that's been in this country already 10 years, right? They don't have no criminal history. They're working. They have a place to live. They're established. Cool. Let's push the paperwork and be done with it. Now, if they don't want to do that, which the vast majority do, but if the contingencies, right? You come across the one who doesn't. I'm not pledging allegiance to shit. Orale, we'll see you later, right? Pleasure doing business with you. Catch you on a rebound. But most people will, and that's the thing. It's a paperwork process, right? We just need more resources for the people that are in the line or want to get in the line or used to be in the line and got kicked out the line or whatever the case may be.
And I agree with that because my mother immigrated here from Myanmar and she had to get a visa. They had to have legal permission to be here. But through legislation, I think that any employers, because I deal with that in Sonoma County, all the wineries have undocumented farm workers.
Right.
Legally, they should be required to have a program that they're sent through to become legalized, just like it used to be when you had to have a work visa. Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, that's you can streamline it through the employers. That would be great to streamline it through them. And the government could mandate that, right? Hey, we're not going to fine you $1 gazillion for using undocumented labor for the last 30 years and getting rich, but you have 6 months to have all your employees, you have to do that. The tech companies had that with India and Pakistan, folks coming over on the work visas, but it was a special kind. They had that process, right? So it is possible. The infrastructure is there. The institutional knowledge of how this happens is there because it has happened. It's just not required.
If they wanted to expedite.
Okay. But Rascal, I'm not talking about work visas. I'm talking about crossing the border illegally and they're here. Is there a time frame? Being somebody here for 20 years or somebody being here for 20 days? Is there some sort of time frame?
It's 6 months worldwide, international.
Yeah, I think you do some time frame. So you don't want to turn around and say, hey, anybody that's been here, let's say by March 1st, right? Because what you're going to have is a gazillion people right there trying to get here before March 1st.
Right.
So you need to do a retroactive, right? And I'm not real hung up on a time frame personally. I think 6 months makes sense. A year makes sense. A couple years. However, any time frame you use that's within a couple years, right, or before, you're going to get most people, right? That's going to take care of. And once you get the large chunk, right now there's this huge pie with different little pieces sprinkled here and there, and it could become overwhelming. We get analysis paralysis. It's too big. What are we going to do? Well, stop people from being racist and put a checkpoint at the border and do this paper here and do this paper there. It gets to be too much. Nothing gets done. I think take the biggest pieces first. Big pieces, people that have been in this country for, say, 5 years or more and are working and are established.
Okay. And since they're undocumented and here illegally, how do you prove how long they've been here?
A lot of people, I don't. That'd be tricky for some, but a lot of folks can show some type of an employment or something else. Plus,
Utility bills.
a lot of people that are here illegally, INS knows when they cross the border, right? Like in all my immigration work, doing stuff with childhood arrivals, when that was a big thing coming out of the Northern Triangle and everywhere else, immigration knew exactly when they came in. The issue is they came in, they cataloged them, and then it was like, all right, man, cool, you're out of here. We're gonna send you a notice for a court date. Do you have a relative? Yeah, I got an uncle in Texas. All right, go stay with your uncle in Texas. Here's his name. Cool, go. It was so many people, and there was so little staff that they were just sending them. Where they say, "We'll send you a notice. You're gonna have to go to court in a few years." This is for a 15-year-old kid. He says, "I never got the notice." Right. So, but when you find them, they have an A number. They have an alien number. Most people, they know when they came in here. It's just they've lost contact with them, and we don't have the infrastructure to go find them, even if we wanted to, other than INS driving down the street chasing brown people.
All right,
But
everyone, we're
but
gonna go
but
ahead and get
everybody,
ready
So
to
that
wrap things up. Of course, he se puede, but I do want to let I know Wayward Son had something to say, and then Nino has something to say. Wayward Son, did you want to say something about the border being open, crossing?
No, I agree with a lot of things that's being said because I'm like I said, that's why I mentioned the coyote because I know there's a lot of things going on down there that are shady, a lot of seedy things that are going on, and the only way to stop that is to do something to prevent that from happening in the first place, because. I'm involved with the organization and through the sister, her name's Josie, MMIW, missing and
Oh
murdered
yeah,
indigenous women, children, people, and two spirits. And what I try to do is help to promote that because it's not just when it says missing and murdered indigenous women, it's not just Native Americans. She goes down there to the border because there's a lot of stuff going on in the border that she participates in and stands up against. The last time she was down there down there towards El Paso, her organization just barely got there. They were there no more than an hour. And somebody came up to them and told them, you have 30 minutes to get out of here. And they let them know you have 30 minutes because they knew who they were.
right.
And they know what they're doing there at the border. They know the shady stuff that they're involved in, the cartels and everything else as far as human trafficking. They told them they had 30 minutes to get out of there. So they all gathered up their stuff and they left because they know there's some things going on in the border that needs to be addressed. And it's not just people crossing over. A lot of a lot of that stuff that's going on needs to be, somebody needs to do something. So to have just open borders where they are trafficking humans, especially little girls and little boys, something needs to be done about it. To say we just got to ignore that because I believe this over here, and as far as indigenous people having the right to move freely, that's a whole different thing. Because in order for me to accept this as a truth, I have to accept that as a truth too. I have to look at both things, not just things that are that favor my point of view, because that's when truth becomes narrative. So I look at that and I see that where it is and what's going on. Yes, something needs to be done about that. That needs to be addressed. To ignore that, I would be a hypocrite just saying, okay, well, I believe so much in this that I'm willing to ignore that. We can't do that.
Right.
So no, there's
Very good. Very good.
reform needs to be taken,
Excellent.
Yeah,
But we're
excellent.
we're all skipping the issue that people coming here illegally is a crime, bro. It's a criminal act to come here illegally. At the end of the day, you
based
know what I'm
on
saying?
a country.
Like you
based
want
on a
leeway.
country.
People want
See,
leeway for
here's the
something that
thing.
they don't deserve, bro. At the end of the day, like when you come here illegally and break a law, you can't ask the United States government. I've been to the White House. I've been to the federal buildings over there. You can't just go there and show up and ask, "Hey, I'm here and give me what I want." Like, dude, there is a due process here, and I understand that there's heartache for people that are leaving this country and broken families, but that's not my issue or my situation. I'm not vague of it. Like I don't look at it like it doesn't mean nothing, but I have enough problems in life at 45 years old where I have to worry about what's gonna benefit and get me forward in this country. And if you don't look at the United States as a place where you could prosper, you got the wrong image of this country, bro. This is a beautiful, prospering, God-blessed country that was founded by so many people. And if you don't take advantage of it
At the
and look
expense
at
of
it like
so many
all right, let him
people.
go ahead and respond though.
A country that was founded by so many people at the expense of so many people. That's the first question that I asked at the beginning of this podcast. The first question I asked is when did colonization end in the United States? And nobody's able to answer me that. Why? Because we choose to accept or give legitimacy to a country, a foreign people, and a foreign government on indigenous lands. So see, when it comes to the border, that's why I said earlier, if the Comanche was to tell me I need to go back where I came from, okay. If the Apache was to tell me I need to go back where I came from, okay. But for a German, for British, for Scottish, for a foreign people to tell me on indigenous land who should and shouldn't be here, who's illegal and who is legal for that matter, they have no right. Foreign people have no right to tell indigenous people whether you are legal or illegal.
Right, and I agree with you, but I think that was kind of my point earlier of like entirely separate conversations, right? Is because I agree with you, and I think what he was saying didn't have anything to do with native and indigenous folks on the land necessarily, right? But in terms of who and they broke the law, so they deserve to be punished. I would argue if you've been in this country and you've been working, you've done your part, right? You've done your part. If you haven't broken any laws already, I think if we concern ourselves with punishing folks, nothing happens. Again, this has been done before. Reagan was fine with amnesty before. That did not radically increase the crime rate in the country. If anything, it made things a hell of a lot better, right? So there's a model in place, and if we're just punishment focused, we're not going to get anywhere.
All right, you guys, we're gonna go ahead. And we already went over the time. I know if people want to interject too. I want to give.
You got my number, Cholo Trucker.
Yeah.
You know what? Yeah, you know what? I just want to say, hey, Raskizi, gracias for speaking immigration with me, big dog.
Anytime.
And I'm gonna drop all the social media links to everyone at the bottom of this description.
Hey, and I can help you guys link up.
The very last comment that we have right here, I want to give it over to Nino America on what you just heard. Anything you want to say.
God bless America, Trump 2025, cry all you want. Ain't nothing anyone's going to do to stop the deportations, and we're glad, and that's all there is to it.
That was a wrap, and that was short. Again, you guys, thank you again for your time. I want to thank all the panelists right here. Si Se Puede, Miss Adina, Wayward Son, Nino America, Lucky Vato. Thank you again, Oscar. I appreciate your time. Cholo Trucker, mi hermano. Pedro, Chicano State of Mind. Again, I thank you for your time. Raskizi, I appreciate and I respect all of you even more now for participating in the next town hall. And this town hall, the next one will be on March 12th, and we're RSVPing the seats. You can go ahead and message me on all platforms. It's ChicanoTube to make it easier. Again, thank you to everyone that's in the chat that interjected with comments, that interjected with opinions. We're here because of you guys. We had almost 500 people in the chat. We want to thank all of you guys, and I will drop all the social media handles for everyone that's on the panel. And if you guys want to cross-connect anyone, we're totally for everyone growing as a network here. So again, we want to thank everyone. Everyone have a good night from the second town hall. We'll see you on March 12th on ChicanoTube. Again, to all the panelists, I appreciate you guys and your opinions, and we are out. But remember what I always say? In the end, all you got is the memories.
Respect to everybody.